Mbeke opened the wooden box and was greeted with the smell of faeces. She held her nose and yelled at her daughter. Nneoma stood back and looked at her mother in confusion. Mbeke quickly closed the box and opened the next. This one was no better. It was full of rotten fruit with giant houseflies feasting on them. Mbeke glared. Nneoma opened her mouth to explain, but no words came out. She was terrified. Her mother's wrath was not something to fiddle with. Nnneoma had brought those boxes home and sent forth gifts from her master, the Jogo Mono family. What on earth were they thinking? Mbeke hissed and cursed under her breath until she opened the third and fourth boxes together, one with the left hand and the other with the right hand. Angry bees burst from one while snakes crawled out of the other. She jumped, and so did the daughter. Then they began running in no particular direction. The bees were all over the room, and the snakes kept coming. Mbeke began to pray to the gods of the land, especially Ali, the god that punishes abominations. She prayed that her sins be forgiven. Ogechi and Mbeke were wives of Maazị Okoro. As co-wives, they never got along. The reason they quarreled was almost always caused by Mbeke and her daughter. She hated and envied Ogechi and always looked for a way to make her journey as a married woman a very difficult one. Mbeke was evil, greedy, and lazy. Her jealousy of Ogechi and her daughter's achievements always drove her to do mean things to them and to persuade her child to surpass Ogechi's daughter. It also made her lie to Maazị Okoro all the time in a bid to turn his heart from his first wife, Ogechi. Her lies never worked on Maazị Okoro. On one occasion, she had reported Ogechi to Maazị Okoro. She told her daughter Nnenna to beat up Nneoma, my daughter, as her way of explaining the scratches on Nneoma's shoulder. I will speak to Ogechi and ensure this does not happen again, Maazị Okoro had said. While she was basking in the euphoria of how much trouble Ogechi and her daughter would be in, considering that their husband is strict and does not side with evil, no matter who is involved, Maazị Okoro sent for Nnenna and Nneoma. When the two girls went into their father's chamber, Maazị Okoro asked them to sit and began telling them a story about what happened when he was growing up. There was this boy called Nnneoma, whose house was in the Imuhu next to my father's, he started. The girls sat down, knowing there would be a while with their father. Whenever he told stories, there was always something there. But most importantly, it was his way of spending time with them and teaching them about life. Nnneoma was known for speaking a lot. He really had the mouth for the whole world, just as the first part of his name suggests. He never knew how true his name was. He often forgot the second part of his name. He continued. What is his full name? Nnenna, the curious one among the two girls, asked. Nneoma rolled her eyes. Just like her mother, she didn't fancy the storytelling sessions. Their father was always about character, principles, and morals. She wished the story to end already. Nnneoma Abuchi, Maazị Okoro answered Nnenna's question, ignoring Nneoma's impatience. His name meant that what people say about you isn't your God. It will only hurt you when you take it to heart in an unhealthy way. He paused to see the girl's reaction. Both were quiet, staring, waiting for him to continue. Nnneoma got into fights very often because he had to respond to everything everyone said. Because he was not so strong, he always lost in the fight. He often came home with so many bruises and scratches all over his body. Nnenna giggled. Nneoma got mad and punched her, and the girls started arguing. Maazị Okoro asked them to stop. It is just a story I wanted to share with you two today. The two girls stopped and he continued. I find it too funny. But why does it offend you, Nneoma? He asked. Nneoma kept quiet. See, my beautiful daughter, it was not my intention to make you sad. I just wanted to have a fun evening with you. Nneoma felt flattered and wiped her eyes. Maazị Okoro always knew how to pacify his daughters. So tell me, why are you sad? And why punch your sister? Tell her to stop making fun of me, Nneoma said. Nnenna was still giggling and covering her mouth with her palms. Mazokoro acted like he didn't notice that. One of you? He asked, focusing his attention on Nnenna, who he knew was an attention hog, just like her mother. Tell me, dear, am I missing something? He nudged. I was in a fight at the playground today with Ndidi, Maazeka's daughter. I didn't mean to, but she made fun of my hair. That is how I got the scratches on my back. She paused. Nnam, tell Nnenna to stop laughing at me, she pleaded. At this, Mazokoro held Nneoma close and comforted her, and ordered Nnenna to stop laughing. He also added a joke ending with, if only I could see the future and visions of the past, I wouldn't have told the story of Onowa today. At this, all three of them laughed so hard. Before he sent the girls off to their mother's hut, he rubbed some ointment on Nneoma's wounds. That was the end of the story. Beke waited and waited to hear her husband's voice as he scolded Ogechi, but it never happened. In her frustration, she mentioned what she had done as she murmured to herself while cooking. Nneoma overheard her and told her their father already knew Nnenna did not hurt her. And who told him that? He bellowed. I did, Nneoma answered. Why on earth did you open your mouth? Beke asked, getting angrier. It just came up while we talked, Nne. I did not know you made a plan, Nneoma explained. At this, she stopped glaring at her daughter and sat down. That intelligent old man. I can never beat him with my tricks, she said, and went back to her cooking. This was just one of the many instances when Weke's trick did not work. She always said that the only reason their husband loved Ogechi more was because she was a first wife. But deep down, she knew it was untrue. If only Ogechi had given birth to a son, Maazokoro would not have looked her way, ever. As the gods would have it, she also gave birth to a daughter. Maazokoro had refused to marry again and decided that the girls are just as important as boys and his daughters would carry on his name. Life went on. On our market day, just after the New Year festival, Maazokoro fell ill. They did all they could, but he went the way of his ancestors. Given his title in the village, he was mourned for 2 weeks, as is the custom for people who held the title. After his burial, his greedy brother took over his farmland, leaving his wives with very little to cater for their children. To make ends meet, Ogechi decided to send her daughter Nnenna to serve under someone. Perhaps the gods would be kind to them, and in the end, her masters would bestow her with gifts that could help them start over. So Nnenna was sent to the Jogo Mono's family, the richest family in Amokwe. Amokwe and Amelu were known to have the same ancestry, two sons of the same father. Each built a community. The relationship between the brothers has extended to the villages and has persisted. The story was passed down to new generations. It was for this reason that Ogechi decided to send her daughter Nnenna from Amelu to Amokwe to live and serve the Jogo Mono family. She trusted Nnenna would be in safe hands. When Nnenna arrived at Amokwe, Mazo Jogo Mono's wife showed her the different chores she was expected to complete daily, including taking care of her newborn baby. Nnenna took care of the family as if it were her own. Her chores were finished on time and the master's baby was well looked after. Mazi and Oriakwe Jogo Mono were very pleased with her. When her serving period was over, Nnenna ready to return to Amelu to her mother, Ogechi. Her master prepared very expensive wrappers, jewelry, foodstuff, and money. To further express their joy and satisfaction with the service they received, the Jogo Mono family invoked the age-long support which existed between the village of Amokwe and the village of Amelu. If a member of one community does something deeply commendable for the other village or a member of the other community, it is not just the master that will bless him when he leaves. The entire village will bring gifts and bless him. Mazi Jogo Mono and his wife made the call. Umunnem no munnam. It is that time when we bless. Whatever good you have, please bring it. A good person has been with us and is living. Bring food, bring wine, bring clothes and coins. Pray to the gods for protection, for a good person has come to us, stayed with us, and now she is returning to her people. The community responded in kind. This call doesn't come often, and whenever it is made, people respond without hesitation. There were so many gift bags and boxes that Nnenna could not carry her luggage herself. Some men were asked to take her home. Members of her family could tell that their daughter had made them proud from the entourage and loads of beautiful gifts that accompanied her on her return. People trooped to Maazị Okoro's compound to congratulate Ogechi and her daughter. Ogechi shared a reasonable part of the gifts with people. Some poor women also got some food and wrappers for their families. Everyone was happy except Mbeke. She was infuriated and jealous, even though she got the most gifts amongst others. Ogechi had shared things with her as she aimed to restore their family's wealth and glory. She had arranged to buy farmlands for them both, and the seats in the park she shared with Mbeke. Yet, her jealousy got the better of her. Mbeke pouted and cursed. Thinks she is the only one with a wonderful daughter. We will see, she said. Nneoma was contented, chatting away with Nnenna and testing new clothes she believed suited her better than her stepsister. Nnenna was happy too. She sorted out the lot and let her stepsister take the one she loved. The two girls were laughing away when Wake's angry voice caused them to stop. Nneoma! 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 She yelled. Where are you? Come home this instant! Both girls looked at each other in confusion. Why is she so angry? Nnenna asked. Nneoma opened her hands, heaved her shoulders and said, Who knows? My mother can be crazy. At that, she packed her pile of clothes and ran out of the room towards her mother's hut. You foolish girl, Beke yelled at Nneoma as soon as she entered their hut. You are there shouting and laughing with Nnenna. Can't you see that everyone is praising her? Nneoma stood there confused. She wondered to herself, they should praise her. Everybody knows that to return in this style from Amokwe, you must have been a hero over there. But she did not voice out her thoughts. She just stood there looking at her mother as she paced from one end of the room to the other. Drop those clothes and get ready, Mbeke barked at her. Get ready for what? Nneoma asked as she walked over to the bedside and placed the clothes she was holding on the bed. You are going to Amokwe tomorrow, Mbeke said with an air of finality. What? Nneoma asked, but she knew her question was irrelevant. Her mother was scheming, and when she did, there was no stopping her. The Diego Mono family must need a new help now that Nnenna has left them. I am sending you there, she paused. This is your turn to get as many gifts as you can, even better than Nnenna did. Show them who is better. You are my daughter after all. Nneoma brought down her metal box and began packing for the journey. Very early in the morning, when it was still dark, Mbeke had set out with Nneoma to Amokwe. They arrived at their destination just as the sun began to rise. Maazị and Oriakụ Ejiofor welcomed them with open arms. They entertained Mbeke and she left. Oriakụ Ejiofor then introduced Nneoma to the house and explained all the things she was expected to do, including caring for their little child. Nneoma listened absent-mindedly as she thought it was too much work. From what her mother told her on their way here, she has come to enjoy life. Why would anyone be bothering her life with so much work? Days passed, and Nnema's laziness and nonchalant attitude could not be more evident. Every member of the household could see it. She neither cooked nor cleaned. She fed the master's child spoiled food on some occasions. Even outsiders could tell she is nothing like Nnenna. She was rude to the young and old alike and picked fights with her mates often. She took snacks from the young at the playground and threatened them to keep quiet. People complained and her master worried about the affairs they put in her hands. She ruined many things for them and felt no remorse. Everyone waited until the day Nnema completed her service and was to return to her people. Since she was from Amelu, the call was made, but this time it was a bit different. Ụmụnne m na ụmụnna m, it is that time when we give back. Whatever you have, please bring it. A person with a beautiful name and face, yet with bad manners, has been with us, and now she is leaving. Bring whatever you please as we send her on her way. As usual, people responded with bags and boxes of stuff, well packed and sealed. Nnenna assumed they had learned their lesson and packed in a way that would not stress her. The elders sent some men to send her to her home at Amelu. When she arrived, people came to greet her just as usual. However, Mbeke sent the people away. She wanted to enjoy what her daughter brought home alone. To her, the goods were only for her and her daughter. Send your daughter to serve, she said to a woman who tried to speak against her attitude. Everyone backed off. No one wanted to get in her way. Mbeke was known for being loud-mouthed, and she didn't care who she hurt. Nnenna and her mother moved the bags and boxes into their hut, as Nnenna, her mother, and other women watched. After they picked up the last bag, Mbeke shut the door and windows. Then she plugged all the eye holes around the house. She did not want anyone getting into their business. After she had plugged all the tiny holes that someone could peep through and double-checked to ensure they were covered, she began to open the boxes. Mbeke was singing and dancing around the gifts. She was so excited. She praised herself for her wits, her daughter for her bravery, and her ancestors for protecting them. She bragged about how she would become wealthier than Ogechi and her daughter, and Nneoma revered in the village. Then she stopped on her track when she opened the first box. The room smelled of faeces, fresh and well packaged. Mbeke quickly shut the box and stepped back. She was not smiling anymore. She covered her nose with her wrapper and glared at Nneoma, who was just as shocked and confused as herself. She opened the second box. It was full of rotten fruits and big houseflies feasting on them. Mbeke lost it. "What is this?" she asked Nneoma sternly. Nneoma opened her mouth to respond, but no words came out. Mbeke closed the box. At least, the smell of rotten fruit was better than faeces. But what would make people give such dirty and ugly things as parting gifts to her daughter? She wondered. Now she treaded carefully. She opened the third and fourth boxes simultaneously. Bees buzzed from one, while snakes crawled out the other. Mbeke and Nneoma began to run helter-skelter, screaming. No one knew why they screamed in terror. None wanted to go close to their house either. It wasn't until they heard Mbeke praying to the gods and asking Ali, the god that punished abomination, to spare her for all her crimes, that people knew something really bad was going on. At this point, the women started calling the men, requesting that able-bodied youths amongst the men come to their rescue. By the time they broke the door, Mbeke and Nneoma had lost their voices, as they had been stung many times by bees and got some snake bites. The men cleared the house, and the snake charmer gathered the snakes. When asked why they had such dirty and sticky things and dangerous animals in their home, they could not say. Ogechi had to pay the healer to take care of them. Their wounds healed, but they lived the shame for a long time.